Okay, so we start the second lecture in international business. Today we will be covering some theories, trade theories, FDI theories, and also touch upon Hymer's thesis, Vernon's approach, and what is meant by world market exchange ratio, and so on. In the international trade theories, we have theory of mercantilism, theory of absolute cost advantage, theory of comparative cost advantage, and the Ohlins model. In FDI theories, we have the market imperfections approach, product life cycle approach, transaction cost approach, and the eclectic paradigm. So these are the two kinds of international business theories that we have. What is theory of mercantilism? Until the 18th century, there was a widespread belief in nationalism. The welfare of the nations was thought to be very, very important. In fact, the book Welfare of the Nation was written by Adam Smith around the 18th century. Curbing imports and promoting exports was the mainstay. Most of the economists as well as the politicians thought that power lies in wealth of nation, and that wealth is through the gold. Therefore, this inefficient utilization of internal resources led to the decline in production. Wealth of the nation is actually the sum of enjoyments of individual, opposed by Adam Smith and Ricardo, who put importance of welfare of individuals than nation. They said welfare of nation is the sum of enjoyments of individual, and included ideas such as free trade and liberalism. Adam Smith in 1776 used this theory of absolute cost advantage to justify international trade. A country should export a commodity that can be produced at a lower cost than any nation, and vice versa for import. I repeat, he said a country should export a commodity that can be produced at a lower cost than any nation, and vice versa for import. Let us look at a particular case. In this you would observe that USA makes only 10 cars for every 20 produced in Japan. USA has therefore an absolute cost advantage in computers, and Japan has absolute cost advantage in automobiles. Now, what happens when a country has absolute cost advantage of all products? That is the theory of comparative cost advantage. In this, David Ricardo says absolute production costs are irrelevant. Here, USA has absolute cost advantage over both the products in computers as well as automobiles. Therefore, the relative advantage is 2:1 in favor of USA in computers, 1.5:1 for automobiles, which is only 50% advantage. Now, to determine the extent of trading gain, a particular ratio called domestic exchange ratio, or DER, is used. The domestic exchange ratio for Japan is 1:2, which means Japan must give up 2 automobiles to make one computer. But by exporting to US, Japan has to give up only 1.5 automobiles to get one computer. The domestic exchange ratio for USA is 1:1.5 only. So its gain comes from specializing in computers and exchanging computers for automobiles in Japan. There is another ratio called world market exchange ratio, or also called the terms of trade. So I repeat, the world market exchange ratio or the terms of trade is a new ratio that is used by economists that replaces both the domestic exchange ratios of these two countries, and that ratio will lie between the limits of pre-trade domestic exchange ratios. Now what happens if 30 becomes 40? Of course, there is no trade then. It was in 1960 when Stephen Heimer, in his doctoral dissertation, The International Operations of National Firms, a Study of Direct Investment, revealed that the orthodox theories of international trade and capital, in fact, both the trade and capital movements, are unable to explain the involvement of multinational enterprises in foreign countries. Their existence owed to the local firms wielding market power and who acted as their agents. So in the market imperfection approach, Heimer's thesis says, and in fact observes, that the rise of the multinational enterprises, also called MNEs, continuously puzzle the minds of neoclassical economists as to how these enterprises could make profits in foreign countries where production costs are more than at home. The answer to this paradoxical situation is available in the presence of the imperfect market in the foreign countries. The orthodox theories of the international trade and capital movements were inadequately structural, which means imperfections of monopolistic nature. However, other factors such as innovation of superior technology, access to capital, control of distribution system, economies of scale, differentiated products by the introduction of different advertising methods, and superior management and etc., these more than offset the disadvantages from their operations in the foreign environment and the additional cost incurred there. Here, the foreign direct investment is controlled through ownership advantages, and international companies enter into collusion for profits. Heimer's theories say that MNE's market power is first developed in the domestic country, and after the profit margin becomes lower in the home country, the firm invests abroad and controls the foreign markets. In the product life cycle approach, which was given by Raymond Vernon, the first stage in the sequential development of a product is the new product stage, which emerges in the home country following innovations as a result of intense R&D activities by the company. The product is introduced in the overseas market through export, and the innovating firm earns excessive profits from both domestic sales and exports abroad because of its monopoly position. The second stage is characterized by the mature product stage, where the demand in the foreign countries expands and the host country firms begin to produce competing products. The home country enterprise is induced to invest abroad for taking advantage of its technology and increasing demand for the product. As the company's specific advantages of the firms controlling the technology are much higher than the local firms, the production in the host country would be cheaper. It stimulates foreign investment in subsidiaries. In the third stage, the product becomes standardized. Arid competition grows into the world market. The MNEs invest even in the LDCs, where the cost of production is lower. The host country otherwise has to import these products from abroad because its own production cost is more. The foreign investment may take the form of licensing arrangements also. The transaction cost approach is called upon in the absence of the perfect market and the price system, which gives flawed signals. The transaction costs, some of them of which are cost of information, enforcement of agreements, and the cost of bargaining, are quite high. The price existing in the foreign countries may not be based on market forces. The agents of the corporation in the foreign markets may exploit the multinational by generating non-pecuniary externalities. The distinction between pecuniary and non-pecuniary externalities is based on the type of market. If the market is of the structural imperfections type, I repeat, structural imperfections type, where the monopolists differentiate their products, the pecuniary externalities arise of this monopolistic behavior of the participating companies. The non-pecuniary externalities occur in a natural type of market imperfections. Theorists consider FDI for reducing the transaction costs and internalizing these non-pecuniary externalities which come out of the imperfect market scenarios. These can be done by horizontal and vertical investments. Horizontal investments are done to internalize intangible assets. These intangible assets are specific knowledge, goodwill, management skills, etc. If host country provides full support against infringement, then some sort of licensing arrangements are made. A vertical investment consists of forward and backward integration. The eclectic paradigm by John Dunning is a synthesis of all these above theories, and itself is not a theory. The eclectic paradigm assumes that the MNEs possess ownership advantages from their intangible assets in the form of technology. This has enabled them to reduce the transaction cost through the internalization process. Internalization advantages arise because of the exploitation of technology and the locational and other advantages accruing in the host country. Although the ownership advantages may be transferred to the host country through the licensing arrangements, yet certain advantages are such that non-transferable benefits from them would occur only if they are managed within the MNEs themselves. Such advantages are organizational and entrepreneurial capabilities of the managers of the international firms, their experience of foreign markets, their political contacts, and long-term business agreements with other enterprises. The relevance of the eclectic paradigm lies in its application to the simultaneous operation of the market imperfection approach and the transaction cost approach. The natural imperfections or market imperfections, they usually arise from lack of perfect knowledge on the part of the buyers and sellers. The natural market imperfections give rise to the development of the transaction cost, like those of the cost of information, enforcement, and bargaining that we had discussed. There's another word you should remember, it's called autarky. Autarky is the absence of trade or the economic isolation of a particular country. Please feel free to put in your comments and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. Thank you.